Every year, 100 billion items of clothing are produced, contributing to 8 to 10% of global carbon emissions at a time when we are in the grip of a climate crisis. Yet up to 25% of the average wardrobe is never worn in the UK, and 92 million tonnes of post-consumer clothing is landfilled globally. There is an urgent need to reduce consumption and increase circulation of clothing we already have. To address this challenge, I completed my PhD, Cleaning the Loop, Driving Consumer Clothing Circularity in 2022. The research involved a qualitative multi-method ethnographic research study involving 30 consumer homes in Scotland and 8 UK textile reuse and recycling industry experts over a period of 6 months, and included semi-structured interviews, participant diaries, photos, drawings and observations. A contamination theoretical lens was applied to understand consumer experiences and perceptions of clothing use and disposal decision-making, leading to how a garment is kept in use or a disposal decision is made. This film presents some of the key consumer clothing use and disposal findings from the research that participants said they had experienced, balanced with advice from experts and a textile recycling industry response to the research findings. By presenting some of the research findings in this short film, we hope it will be useful to consumers everywhere. Nearly all consumers were struggling with moth infestations in their homes, damaging large quantities of clothing and home textile.
My biggest enemy is moths. That is my biggest clothing problem. I do have moth holes in this one, for example. This one's got quite a few holes and will probably have to go. Every so often I use a smoke bomb, but they keep coming back and I'm not quite sure what to do.
Clothes moths are a problem because they're protein eaters. In the wild, they deal with carcasses. They eat dead animals and dead birds. They eat fur, feathers, skin and hair, human hair, animal hair. It's all the same to them. They like dark and undisturbed areas, the back of closets, inside pockets and collars, and they can create an awful lot of damage in a small space of time if you leave them undisturbed. In the museum world, we use a system called integrated pest management, which is a system of inspections and freezing. You can use your domestic freezer if you have a moth outbreak. You take your garments, you put them in a sealed plastic bag, such as a Ziploc bag or a plastic bag with tape on, and put it in your freezer for 2 weeks at -18 degrees. That should kill all the moths. And then when you take them out of the freezer, vacuum them to remove all the debris.
Always check for moth holes before buying second-hand. Check pockets and collars. Put second-hand jumpers in sealed bags and then into the freezer for 2 weeks, then vacuum before wearing. Do a spring clean. Moths are most active spring to summer. Shake clothing out and make sure it is laundered and free of bacteria such as food before storing. Consumers were struggling to make clothes last, and there was a range of experiences relating to how to maintain and keep clothing in use.
I'm a student on a budget, and some of my clothes can wear out quite fast, such as jumpers that bobble quite quickly. I use the debobble tool, but they just come back. If they get a hole, I can usually repair them, but I tend to have other clothes that I wear until they're falling apart. Like bras and pants, they just don't seem to last.
A pilling comb or lint remover can help remove pills and fuzz, and the internet is a great source for how to fix and repair. In general, loose, open fabrics tend to wear faster than densely knitted or woven fabrics. And while synthetics add strength, they can increase staining, odour and pilling when blended with a natural yarn. Buy the best quality you can afford for the intended purpose. Products that last are made from the right choice of fibres, yarns and fabric structures. So read product claims, reviews and recommendations and consider quality second-hand items. One spot, use and care for your product appropriately. Always follow the care label. I'd recommend using a wash bag, washing inside out, closing zippers and Velcro fasteners, using appropriate detergents, and wash darks and lights separately. Line dry more and tumble dry less. Everyday household products like baking soda, lemon juice and vinegar can be effective on stains, but always check the care label and don't use undelicate fabrics like wool and silk.
Check clothing care labels and try to select natural fibres where possible. Wash clothing less, but make sure to air clothing in between uses. Access cost-effective stain removal solutions by watching videos online and using household products. Use an old pillowcase as a wash bag to put your delicates in when washing. Consumers were confused about how to dispose of clothing to ensure a garment or textile is resold, reused or repurposed, and found local recycling service information confusing and limited.
So my partner wears a lot of t-shirts to the gym and they really tend to wear out really quickly and they get sweat stains on them. He just puts them in the bin and I go and get them out. Then I tend to wash them and put them in a plastic bag ready for the recycling bin. But I really don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I try to put things that I then think people will wear into the charity shop, but I just never know if they are sold or what really happens to them.
So in the clothing banks you can put all clothing and shoes and all household textiles, so the likes of bed linen, pillowcases, duvet covers. The only thing that can go in here is duvets and pillows. Well, it needs to be in a plastic bag to keep the quality and to keep it contamination free, so it needs to be clean and dry for us to then process in our factory so that we can sort it for the best quality of reuse. So when it's brought into our facility here in Denny, we sort and grade it into over 200 different grades of material, which we call an end product, so it can be then sorted by quality and fibre type, and then we'll bale it into men's jumpers, women's blouses, men's jeans and so on. Anything that's not good for reuse, we will then sort for recycling. Household textiles that can be reused that we collect from our clothing banks, we send on for downcycling, which ultimately ends up in material like this, which is noise insulation for the motor industry and also mattress topping that protects the consumer from the springs in the mattress. We are now looking at new technology, fibre to fibre, where we can pull the clothing and household textiles back into this candy floss type material that we call it. It is then put through a series of machines that is then spun back into this, and then ultimately it can be spun back into yarn, which can then be made back into new consumer textiles. So we sell to wholesale retailers, countries like East and West Africa, so Kenya and Ghana and Eastern Europe, Hungary, Poland, etc. We don't send anything unsorted, we don't collect it and then ship it abroad. We sort and grade it into what our customers ask for, so they'll send us a packing list and they'll ask for 50 bales of men's jeans, 50 bales of women's blouses and so forth, where it'll either be cut for wiping cloths for the oil and gas industry, or we'll send it on for further manufacturing into carpet underlay, noise insulation for cars, or mattress toppings for consumer mattresses.
Always put clean clothes in a clean plastic bag before putting in the clothing bank. Put all clothing items in the clothing bank, even your clean used underwear. When donating to charity for resale, think, would you wear it? As you have seen in this short film, understanding consumer clothing challenges and solutions to clothing longevity and disposal are crucial to reducing clothing consumption. The three key topics of moth damage, clothing maintenance and clothing disposal come directly from consumer experiences. Consumer clothing circularity research is essential to inform policies and encourage sustainable practices. The European Union's initiatives, such as the right to repair and extended producer responsibility, are steps in the right direction. These policies promote sustainability, but there is still so much to learn about consumer clothing experiences and perceptions of use and disposal to ensure industry and policy are providing the right solutions. Your role as a consumer is vital to driving change. By sharing your thoughts through the QR code survey, you can help us develop more effective strategies and services that benefit everyone. Thank you for watching, and together we can create a more sustainable future for all.